I don't care about your political affiliation. I don't care about your stance on firearms or anything of the like. But if you are a journalist or perhaps you just know one, then I'm going to ask that you take a little bit deeper look at the case that we're discussing here today, because while the Second Amendment side of things were what was used to prosecute these two individuals, I believe that this is actually a First Amendment case. And as someone who has a intimate relationship with the protections afforded by the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, I would hope that you would see the perilous parallels to your current situation in this whole menagerie of messiness that we've got going on here. I know that you've seen a lot of videos about the auto keycard case in recent days, and I have postponed making a video on this topic, first because it was an ongoing case. While a case is a trial, I try not to be anybody who impacts that case particularly negatively. The second reason that I have not discussed this is because I wanted to digest every piece of information that I possibly could about the case, because we do not have the transcript. So just bear in mind that while we are going to be discussing my opinions today, my opinions have some kind of logical basis in the data that is out there. Again, we'll know more when the transcript is resolved. The last thing that I would say is, boys and girls, I'm sick. I don't know what's going on, but suddenly Curtis has allergies, and I don't know what to do about this, but like yesterday, I left my house long enough to go to the gym, and that's it. So if you see a whole lot of untimely cuts in this video, then that is me hacking my lungs out and blowing my nose. So I spared you that in post-production. Associations. I don't know either of these two gentlemen personally or professionally. I have corresponded periodically with Matthew Hoover over the interface that is the YouTube comment section, but we're both content creators in the firearm space, so that's bound to happen eventually. What I would say is that most of that conversation had nothing to do with this situation specifically, but that did was like, hey bro, that's a dumb idea. And I'm not saying that to say that I told you so or anything like that. What I'm trying to say is that I am not coming onto this scene as someone who is here defending a friend. I'm coming at this from the perspective of a federal firearms licensee who holds a special occupation tax stamp with over a decade's worth of experience in the firearms industry, and one that has specific experience with the subject matter at hand being machine guns, not just one type of machine gun, but a wide variety of different designs from everywhere around the world. So I'm coming at this from a technical aspect to look at what happened in this case and try to kind of wade into it a little bit and give you a better perspective of what's going on here. So what I want to start with is the auto key card itself. I don't need to rehash this information very strongly, but this is a etching on a piece of metal. There's no indentations or anything like that. It's just a laser passed over it, probably less than it should have, just looking at the images. Like if you wanted to generate a quality etching on something, you would probably do it a little bit deeper than they did, but they probably were trying to mass produce these as a novelty item. It's just my perspective as someone who looks at things that are made cheaply. That aside, allegedly, if you were to cut on the lines that are drawn on the auto key card, then you would manufacture a lightning link. Now, a lightning link is a device that is used to simulate fully automatic fire. It doesn't actually convert the firearm to fully automatic fire. What it does is cause the firearm that is not capable of fully automatic fire to malfunction, that can make the appearance of fully automatic fire, but it's actually malfunctioning. And we'll get to that here in just a second. The distinction that I will also make is that the lightning link will not work in the majority of the firearms. This one is allegedly for the AR-15. Most of the AR-15s in the country will not accept a lightning link. Welcome in post-production, Curtis. I had an entire segment where I talked about lightning links and the intricacies of why they do or do not work. And I realized that after watching it that I'm not entirely sure it's value added to have in there, because while I think the audience that normally watches this channel would be totally capable of following that discussion, I'm targeting this video towards a potentially more general audience to raise awareness for the case, but I came to the conclusion that a general audience may not have the cognitive capacities to really follow
that distinction. And my evidence for that is that we had 12 out of 12 jurors that couldn't follow the difference, the factual difference between a lightning link and a machine gun. So what I would rather do with the time that I have you here is say, the things didn't work. Okay, the ATF even said that they didn't work as much. They attempted to convert 4 auto key cards to functional lightning links. They failed 3 times, and then what they ended up presenting to the court, by all records that I can find, is a video that shows a malfunctioning firearm. So, to the point where the prosecution even attempted to have the judge give jury instructions that they did not actually have to prove that an auto key card was capable of converting to a lightning link that is capable of producing a fully automatic firearm.
I'm going to end on something that is probably going to make a couple people mad, maybe even a lot of people mad. I don't know. But you know how I am. I just kind of speak from my heart. I don't know Justin Irving from Adam. Like, if you put him in a lineup, I don't even know what the dude looks like. Couldn't tell you who he is. I do have a decent bead on Matthew Hoover, though. Mostly through his publishings online, but also, as I mentioned, some communications in the comments. Now, it may be that the personality that is CRS Firearms may not actually be Matthew Hoover. We've seen people play characters on the internet before, see Alex Jones and the like, where a person has a bit that they do for the purposes of business, right? And that's not actually them. However, when you see a body of work that is consistent as Matt's, you must at a default assume that that is actually them, unless you have evidence to the contrary. And looking at those two sources, I think that many of us would agree that Matthew Hoover is not a particularly likable individual. Personally, I find him to be irascible and belligerent. I'm not a particularly likable person either, some of the time. I don't believe that that sort of thing should impact someone's trial. However, it is clear to me that there were some present biases from what I have read. Now, whether you want to lay those at the feet of the jury for going out and consuming content that was available on the internet, which I'm going to say they almost certainly did. There's no way that they could have avoided it. They have a smartphone, and they have human desires to see what it is that they're talking about. Why did the prosecutor say that she fears Matthew Hoover? Is that just some liberal crap about the fact that he's got guns? Which actually, I don't think that he does. I think they confiscated all of them. Is it some crap about she knows that she did something that was unethical and she fears backlash? Or did Matthew Hoover do or say something that we don't see because we don't have the transcript yet and we're just going off of the reporting that caused her to fear Matthew Hoover? That is my question. I would also say that that goes kind of part and parcel because they pushed for the bank tellers that were actually the instigators of this whole process of prosecuting them. They wanted those individuals to be able to testify, likely for the purposes of impugning the integrity of Mr. Irving, who, as far as I can tell from anybody who has any information on the individual, is that Mr. Irving is not a particularly likable person either. And I would suspect that he went to the bank, tried to extract some of his money. They said, "You're trying to take out too much money." He probably got angry and probably said some things that he's probably currently regretting.
And I'm back. A very smart man once told me that you should always be nice to the service staff. One, they're just doing their job. And second of all, you never know when the situation will be reversed.